I will make it up. Okay, so we're assuming when we get to the table that we already know kind of generally what the buyer is, right? We've already done some pre-qualifying, to get them to the table, kind of based on what we talked about yesterday, right? And we kind of honed that down on what are the things that we're looking for before we sit down with a buyer, right? What are, before I jump into this, if someone wants to share with me, what's one thing you think you need to get better at in your consultation for each of you? Nikki, what would you say under the new consultation, right? Because you're using it. What's one thing you would say you need to get better at?
The flow of it. I need to master it better.
Okay. Just how it goes.
Just how it goes, and take the time to actually go through each page and not just like, here are our partnerships, right? No, those are important partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
If we are on radio, that's pretty important. So
yeah,
like take the time to just kind of mention it and have those memorized really well.
Okay, got it. What about you, Eddie?
I would say I found it very powerful. The questions you brought up during the week, maybe implementing those.
Implementing the questions. Okay. All right. Janae, what about you?
Driven.
This is a buyer consultation.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still talk about that because usually they have a house to sell. So.
Well, not usually. I would say most buyer consultations are, they're looking to buy a house. So on your buyer consultation, what would you say you need to get stronger at with the new presentation? Closing. Okay. So asking for the business. All right. What about you, Annie?
It's not in the packet, but more just like market trends and having past experience, like knowledge.
Okay. Taking it till you make it. Okay. So let's just assume I'll try to like answer those questions because I've never presented the buyer packet, right? Since we made the changes, but there's nothing in it that's new, right? All we did was make it look different and add a few pages from the listing packet, right? And so, part of my goal, like if I'm going to do a buyer presentation, the entire goal of the buyer presentation is just hone in again on the pre-qualification questions that we went over before we set the meeting. That's the goal, right? And then the presentation itself is just designed to answer and eliminate all of the objections before you ask for the business. That's it. That's all it is, right? And everything from start to finish, like, well, what happens if I buy a home that I don't love and I have to move in 2 years, right? Or a year, right? Or how does a contingency work? Or what if I want to write an offer 50,000 under asking, right? Like you're just trying to eliminate all of those things up front in an organized fashion to make sure that you control that meeting. Make sense? Okay, Annie, thanks for meeting with me today.
Thanks for inviting me.
So we talked a lot on the phone, over the last 3 months, right? And I know that you guys are, hoping to buy a home in the Folsom area, right?
Yes.
Can you just remind me again, and I know we've talked about it before, like what are the key things that you would say are wanting to make you move?
That make us want to move?
Yeah.
We really want a pool and we just need more space, maybe like a 4-bed instead of 3 bedrooms.
Why do you need 4 bedrooms instead of 3?
Because our kids can't share a room forever. Right now they're still little, but when they grow up, we need them to have their own space.
Okay, and if you had 3 bedrooms, they wouldn't be able to have their own room?
No, because we still want an office.
Oh, okay. Is that because you work from home or your husband works from home?
Partially, yeah.
Partially. Is that like a for sure thing?
We definitely need a 4-bed.
Okay, got it. What about if the 4th room didn't have an like a closet, if it was like a den or whatever?
Yeah, that would work, like 3 with an office.
Okay, got it. And then what about the pool? Like how important is that pool?
I feel like it's really important. I want to say it's a non-negotiable because I don't know if it would be worth it for us to move right now if we didn't get a pool.
You can install your own pool. Did you know that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it has the lot size for one.
Okay, got it. I mean, usually it's a little cheaper to buy a home with it's a pool already, right? But I would say, what if the home checked all the boxes, best area, good price, and you could save 75 grand by buying a home without a pool in the best location? Would you say you would buy it?
Does this home have space for a pool?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we would buy
Okay.
it.
Got it. So, and then, since we've been talking, what do you think has kept you from wanting to pull the trigger on a home so far? Like, you said you've been kind of thinking and looking for 6 months, a year. Why have you not pulled the trigger yet?
I mean, 6 months ago, or a year ago, I feel like homes were just flying off the market so quickly, and we didn't want to offer $100,000 over like everybody else. So I think now we were just seeing it slow down. So it feels a little bit better for us.
Yeah, you
Less
feel more
competitive.
confident.
Mhm.
So if, and I would say that's a great point, and it's been the best time to buy a home in the last 2 years that I've seen for sure.
Mhm.
If we can find you a home that checks all the boxes, are you prepared to write an offer and close in 30, 60 days?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay, so you're ready to go now.
Yes.
And that's why it was important that we meet. That's why I said that on the phone,
Mhm,
right?
Of course.
So what are some questions that you might have about this process that maybe you've heard of or spent some time on the internet learning about? And hopefully I'll be able to answer all those questions today. But what are some key questions that you have?
Obviously, everybody's been freaking out about the rates, so I'm curious, do you think they're going to keep going up? Do you think they're going to come down?
Does that change your decision of buying or
Well, because it'll affect our payments,
Mhm.
yes. I also hear that everybody's saying the market is going to crash in summer. So what if that happens? I don't know. I guess just fear of the unknown. It makes me nervous.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's a reason so many people were buying homes a year ago, right? I mean, they were not dumb. Interest rates were very low, 3.5%, 3%, right? So there was a reason it was so competitive. And that reason was it was really cheap to buy. Even though you were paying a lot of money for the homes, the rates were so low that it was cheap, right?
Yeah. Sometimes
So-
I kick ourselves for not moving then, but at the same time, I didn't want to pay too much.
For sure. And you don't want to be doing that 3 months, 6 months from now, kicking yourself for not making the move, right? You have the money saved, you say you want to buy, Folsom's a great location. We don't want to be sitting here 6 months from now, kicking ourselves. Right. I think it's Warren Buffett that says, the best time to buy real estate is now, right? Not tomorrow or the next day. I think interest rates will fluctuate. I think that they will continue to either maintain or go up a little bit,
Okay.
right? I don't foresee them going down substantially
Okay.
anytime soon anyways. But the good news is that if they did go down from here in the future, a year or 2 or 3 from now, you always have the option to refinance, right?
Right.
And so, I would just look at what are your key motivating factors versus what prices are, what interest rates are. If you can afford the payment, it's in a location that you want to be in, you're going to be in the house for 5 to 10 years. There's no reason not to move forward, right? Versus paying rent,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Does that all make sense? What other questions might you have?
Obviously, it's been a while since we initially bought, so I don't even know what offers even look like these days.
Okay. Like how you write offers or like what they should look like?
Yeah, terms and all of that stuff.
All right. Any other questions that you want to focus on or address?
No, not that I can think of right now.
Okay. So would it be okay if I just took like 10 minutes to share with you? Hopefully it will answer all of these questions. Like I said on the phone, I think most, everything that we do or I do as an agent is like totally not traditional. The less traditional, the better. We're trying to really emphasize like being prepared and treating this like a profession, not just kind of jumping and running and reacting, right?
Okay.
So the traditional way would be like you start looking at homes that you can't afford, you call me, I go show them to you. We start to work through the process backwards and I figure out, oh, okay, you can't afford that. This is what you like. But now we've wasted like 30 days, right?
Right.
I would much prefer to spend 10, 20 minutes now, kind of explaining the process, really hone down on what it is that you want. And then we leave today armed with a really clear plan of action, right?
Yeah.
You can meet 37 agents and they would all run the same plan, like hoping that you're going to find a home eventually someday that you're going to buy.
Mhm.
I'd rather not waste that time. I'd rather respect your time. And it's proven, like with our plan, our buyers will get into homes much faster than just kind of running around without a clear plan. And when it comes to the offer strategy and our reputation, we will wind up saving money or at least getting an opportunity to get the deal. So, I want to quickly breeze over, our team, and it really benefits our clients when we operate as a team. It's important that you want your agent, even as a buyer. It's kind of hard to understand, like, what value does your agent provide you, right?
Mhm.
Well, you want your agent to be trustworthy and all those things. I feel like that's a given. Unfortunately, in our industry, like trust and all that is not a given, right? On our team, trust, that's just a way. No one on our team can get onto the team if we don't trust them, right? So that's a given for our team. But we're going to offer you some benefits that you can't get with a traditional agent, right? So if we're selling 150, 200 homes a year, we're going to know of homes before they hit the market, right? We're going to have properties that we have listed or coming soon that we'll know about before they hit the market. Because we're one of the top teams, agents just know who we are, right? So we're going to know about their properties before they hit the market. So it's just important to know, as a buyer in today's world, if you do interview other agents, like, you want someone who is a top producer, right? Like, you don't go to the doctor for a shoulder surgery who does this on the side on Sundays, right?
Mhm.
Or someone who only does it 20 hours a week. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah.
Would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Definitely not. Not that this is life-threatening or surgery. It's just important. If you're hiring a professional, you want them to be, like, deeply ingrained. So one of our biggest, like, I would say, values to our customers is we offer even our buyer customers options when it comes to buying, right?
Okay.
And there's really two ways we can help you. One is we call it our cashback offer. So every offer, if our buyer gets qualified with a lender that we trust, every offer, we basically guarantee it to the seller, right? So if you're a seller, you have your home listed for 700, whatever the case may be, you get an offer from Elevate Realty Group, and we say we're going to close in 21 days. That means that if for some reason we have to close in 22 days, Elevate Realty Group will guarantee that we buy the house on the 21st day, right? And the reason we have that is to guarantee that our buyers are qualified. We're going to provide certainty to the seller. And in turn, it increases the, let's just call it, the percentage of the time our offers are accepted without offering more money. So I know it seems a little complex, but in reality, it's just a guaranteed offer to sellers, right?
Okay.
If you qualify with our partners, which is important, because our partners don't get late on closing, right? We don't want to buy the house for you. You can qualify for a cashback offer program. We have another program that allows you to get qualified to write a full, like, legitimate cash offer, right? And there's some certain criteria for that. We can talk about that later. But the key here is, like, we are offering you innovative ways to improve your situation as a buyer
Mhm.
versus just writing conventional offers. So it doesn't mean you have to write a cash offer or a cash backed offer, but it just gives you the option to do so. Let's say we're competing on a home, because there still are multiple offer situations. Every property that we help someone buy comes with a 1-year, we call it love it or leave it guarantee. So that means if you have to sell your home for whatever reason in that first year, we're going to cover all the listing costs for you for that. And it happens. I mean, there are people who buy homes and change their mind a year later, right? And we just want, we put that guarantee there to ensure that we're never going to push you into a property. If it's a home that you don't love, we're going to consult you and tell you, like, hey, you shouldn't move forward on it if you don't love it. Makes sense? We also offer, if you currently own a home, what we would call our trade-in program that allows you to go buy your next house first before selling your current home. So the key I want you to remember is, like, the traditional agent has one way, right? They're just simply there to open the door for you. They're like a key, right? And we are not a key, right? We offer you innovative solutions for financing, innovative ways to access homes, and cutting edge technology to really speed that process up. And I don't want you to forget that, right? And we can, as we kind of go through this process, we can certainly like hone in more questions about those cash offers and guaranteed offers, let's say. But the process of buying a home is really important. You've already done this once before,
Mhm.
right? How long ago was that?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Was that experience great, fun, bad?
It was a new build, so actually it was totally different than this. But it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously a longer
Easier.
process, but
Hold on. And what happened to that home?
do we want to go into trade in? I still have it.
Let's just
We're
pretend
gonna
you're a
rent-
buyer.
We're gonna
Yeah.
rent it out.
Yeah. Okay. You're going to rent that home out. You've already decided that. We talked about that on the phone,
Yes.
right?
Already got the property manager and everything.
Which is awesome.
Mhm.
So buying new construction is way different than buying resale, right?
Mhm.
And so that's why we're taking the time up front. Like, again, I keep going back to, let's just take a little bit of time up front to create a plan versus learning this on the fly,
Yes.
right? And so the whole process begins with this, right? I actually want to physically meet with someone and consult them and really get to know them, their wants and needs, and explain this whole process to them so we don't have to go re-explain it again, right? You're armed with more information when you go. The next step after we leave today, I know that you've already been pre-approved with a lender that, I don't know how you know them, but I would highly recommend getting a second opinion. It's super easy. It doesn't affect your credit. I'm sure people would ask that. And it only takes literally like 24 hours. So if you've already been pre-approved with one lender, you've already gone through the effort of getting all your documents in order.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend, and when working with us, it's almost like a prerequisite, at least get a second opinion so that I know you're getting a good deal, right?
Okay. Yeah.
It's all around making sure you get a great deal. And I will say that our lender is consistently closing faster than anyone else. So if there's any way we can make your offer better without paying more money, it's really important to do so. And that's why I recommend you should talk to the lender.
Okay.
Once we get your pre-approval honed in, I would recommend we'll start really narrowing in on what kind of property you're looking at. Are you considering new construction homes too?
Yeah, but a lot of those are so have such small lot sizes, so probably not.
Okay,
But yeah, I'm not opposed
so
to it,
resale only.
most likely.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I would choose that myself too, but like, once we're pre-approved, of course, I kind of know what you're looking for, but until you get that pre-approval and I really know your finances, especially because of interest rates right now, we won't go look at homes. So can we agree that you're going to start there first, and then I can know your financial situation, we can set the budget, then we can go look at homes? Is that fair enough?
Even though I'm pre-approved already with the other lender. You want
Yeah,
me to
but
get pre-approved with the other one.
yeah, just I've seen 100 pre-approvals in my career, and they're not pre-approval, meaning like they said we were pre-approved, but it's like an online application.
Mm.
And then today we get to submitting an offer, and unfortunately, you're not approved for the offer that you write, right?
Got it.
So even though it literally takes like 24 hours, right? If you leave this meeting today, go to the link I give you, by tomorrow, we can have a legit number that that either it'll verify what you already have,
Yeah.
or you're going to be surprised and say you're either approved for more or less, or can't qualify, whatever the case may be. I just don't feel comfortable trusting someone I don't know on someone's largest asset and purchase, where you actually can like lose money if for some reason it's wrong, right?
Okay. that
So
makes sense.
as long as we can agree on that, we can still get rolling as fast as you want. I just want that pre-approval first. And it doesn't mean you have to work with them, right? It just means that I want to cross-check that everything is accurate.
Got it.
So once we get the pre-approval, we'll really narrow down your search. And we've invested a lot of time, energy, and resources here. And really, when you're searching for homes, that's where most of the time is spent. It's also where most of the time is lost too.
Okay.
It's also where the frustration of the buyer process comes usually is, one of the key complaints we hear is like, the agent didn't listen to what I wanted. They showed properties that didn't fit my criteria, right? They tried to kind of force higher price points or smaller homes. It kind of felt like they were trying to force me into a home, let's say.
Yeah.
So my goal is I'm going to listen exactly what you want, right? And it may feel sometimes like nothing's happening because there's not a lot of inventory. right?
Yeah.
But I'd rather not go run around, and I'm sure you would as well, looking at homes that don't suit your needs, right? I have plenty of clients, right? So I'm not like commission starving for you. And I think that's important for you to know, like my goal is help you get your goal. Does that make sense? So when we start to narrow down on what you want, I'm going to have you download our app today, which really streamlines the whole search experience. Inside of that app, you will create basically searches based on different criteria, neighborhoods, whatever the case may be. And that's how we're going to schedule all of our showings. It's super simple. We can communicate within that app. By using that app, it should cut our time in half in terms of communicating back and forth and trying to find homes. That app is really accurate too. Like, you know, if you're looking on Zillow, that could be 24, 48 hours delayed. And it's hard because everyone looks there, right? It's really easy and intuitive. I just want you to know if there's a property that's on the market, I know about it, right?
Yeah.
Especially when we're taking the time up front to like really hone down on your criteria. Make sense?
Yep.
Once we're out shopping, you know, whether it's myself or even one of my partners, because sometimes if I'm unavailable, like I'll connect you to, we call it our showing partner, who's really there to help us like make sure that you can get into all homes when you want. You know, ahead of going to see properties, we'll do as much research as we can ahead of time. So just know every home that we're scheduling, I'm like putting hours of time into beforehand. So we don't want to just schedule homes willy-nilly. Like, oh, let's just go take a look at it. I know I don't like it, but we could take a look at it, right?
Okay.
Like, I want you to understand that, like when we do this and every showing, we're doing some due diligence ahead of time, and we just want to make sure it's a good house for you, right? I want to respect your time, you respect my time, right?
Right.
Okay, so you probably didn't spend a lot of time buying new construction this way, right? This really is where we're going to make up most of our time and where we're really going to streamline this whole experience for you. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll always ask you for feedback after every showing too, like, because I want to really get clear on what you want.
Okay.
Once we find the home that we want, you know, we're ready to make an offer. Okay. And what I ask you and why we do this is when you're ready to make an offer, you're at decision mode, right? That indecisive feeling you have today should go away by the time you're ready to write an offer. If it checks all of your boxes and the home is perfect for you, in today's world, there's still homes that get more than one offer, right? Just because it has more than one offer doesn't mean you shouldn't write an offer on it. I'm always going to be honest with you if what price can get accepted and what price is too high if we're having to compete with someone else, right? I won't let you overpay for a home, or I'm at least going to tell you you're overpaying if you're trying to overpay,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
We're not going to stop you from making an offer. So that decision is always made once we find a home that we like and I can connect with that agent or that seller. We never know ahead of time what the seller is willing to accept. And we certainly don't want to look at prices over our budget, assuming that we can get it for lower than what it's listed for. Does that make sense?
You said we don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that.
Okay.
I will do that for you on the side, right?
Okay.
And when I know that there's properties that are overpriced or a good deal or something like that, I'm going to bring it to your attention. But I'm certainly not, we don't want to target those homes assuming that that's going to happen, because in Folsom, it's still a hot market, right? There's still very few homes, lots of buyers. So I'll consult you when it's time to make the offer. Most of the offers that we write are not at asking price, or they have some kind of concession in there. We're asking for a credit back to help get lower interest rates and buy interest rates down. Have you ever heard that term before?
I've read up on the 2-1 buy down. Is that what you're referring to?
I mean, that is part of what I'm referring to. You know, if let's say interest rates are at 6% today, you can actually pay a fee to get a lower interest rate up front. So
Okay.
say it costs you $10,000 to get a 0.5 point discount
Mhm.
on your interest rate. So a point would be 1%, 0.5 point would be 0.5%, right?
Okay.
So let's say we wrote an offer and we asked the seller for $10,000 and they gave it to us. We can use that $10,000 to save 0.5% in interest
Oh, okay.
because that lowers your payment.
Right.
Most, let's call it inexperienced agents won't know how to utilize this in an effective way, and also won't know how to like negotiate that for you on your behalf. And that's why we're sitting here today,
Got it.
right? To make sure that you have a good agent. Any questions around that whole process?
No.
No, okay. Every property that we are considering an offer on, we're gonna tee up a conversation with our lender, no matter if it's 6 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
I want to verify that you know how much it's gonna cost for you to buy that home.
Definitely.
Good?
Yes.
Okay, like we might know upfront kind of like what your budget is,
Mhm.
but when it comes down to the nitty gritty of writing an offer with credits or anything like that, Melrose, HOA, pool, if it has a pool or not, it's going to affect your monthly costs, right?
Yeah.
We're going to run through that scenario each and every time because it's a big financial decision. Okay.
Got it.
But the commitment I would ask of you is like when we find a home, since we've done such a good job narrowing down on what you want and all that stuff, when we do find the home, like we want to move fast, right? Like just be confident in your decision, okay? And if it's something that you want, you know it, don't be afraid to write an offer because sometimes people get a little nervous, right?
Okay.
So when we start, let's just call it putting together an offer. If you remember when you bought your new construction home, there were certain contingencies in place, like, you had time up until your design review, let's say, or your walkthrough. Same applies for resale homes. So when we write an offer, thankfully, it's not as competitive as it used to be. So we do have time to do our inspections. We have time to get appraisals. Most properties we're not paying over appraised value, right? These are all normal buffers in place to protect you against making a decision like after the fact, on a home that's not in good condition or say it has a roof leak or whatever, right? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So every offer, depending on like the seller's situation, we will make the best offer we can, but also put you in a position to like actually be protected.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
What do you know about the inspection process or, resale homes?
Not much. I
Okay,
know that you get your inspections done.
for
That's
sure.
about it.
And that is a cost that you're going to wind up paying for most of the time. So I would budget, and we'll get to that in a minute, but I would budget around $1,500 for your inspections. And this is why when we want to be careful about writing offers, right? We don't just want to write offers on all these homes because, after 3 deals, if you decide to cancel, you're now $5,000 in the hole, right? So when it comes to inspections, these are resale homes. There's always something that's not right,
Okay.
right? And it's not the seller's responsibility to fix it. I'm going to always be honest with you of what I think, is a seller responsibility.
Mhm.
The home should be in pretty good condition, no active leaks, nothing really truly broken. But almost every home inspection is like 100 pages long, even if it's on a new construction home. That's just the format of the report itself,
Mhm.
okay?
Okay.
So when it comes to the inspection process, and you get that home inspection, you're not going to be surprised when it's 100 pages, right? Because I told you about it. Things like roof leaks, dry rot, those are typically things we want to negotiate for.
Okay.
But there's going to be a laundry list of items, and we can't just go ask the seller. A lot of that stuff is being priced into the resale price. Make sense?
Yeah.
And then once we get through inspections, of course, we want to make sure we get an appraisal at the contract price we're paying for. That's all normal part of the process. You do pay for that as well.
Is that part of the 1,500 or separate?
No, that would be separate. I would say it depends on when we buy. Appraisal prices have gotten more expensive as the market was hot. I would estimate about $600, 600 to 1,000. Your total cost with inspections and appraisal should be, under $2,000, but you should definitely, 2,500, 2,000, depending on what inspections that you do. Okay.
Okay.
Good. So usually start to finish, if you use our lenders, I mean, we can close in as little as like 15 days, right?
Really?
So the faster we can close to the seller in most instances, the better off we'll be in terms of like how competitive we are as a buyer.
Okay.
Okay. Like, don't let that scare you. If you're ready, you're prepared, and we can close in 2 weeks, and that seller wants a fast close, we can do that. But that's also why I recommend we use our lender, not the internet lender that you went to. Not that they're bad people, they just can't put you in a position to win. And usually, like, being able to close that quickly can save us like 2-3% on the purchase price, which is really what I'm after. right?
Okay.
Because I told you I would help you close faster and get a better deal.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that's like the whole escrow process. And from a team perspective, we're constantly hunting for sellers and buyers, right? That's my job, is find people who want to buy and sell.
Mhm.
We spend a lot of money on radio, direct mail, and the good important thing about that for you, especially in Folsom, is we do a ton of business in Folsom, and so every seller, let's say, or off market opportunity that I think would fit for you, I'm going to give you the first opportunity to know about it. Most agents will never ever be able to give you that opportunity.
Okay.
So between our programs, our experience, our reviews, our off-market opportunities, you can see why more and more people just make the decision to work with us, right? So this is just kind of like a checklist we put together with you. You should keep this, and as we kind of work through the process, you can keep track of where we are. Another thing I would recommend to you to think about is, like, through that whole process, myself and our administrative team are going to be keeping you aware of what's like up and coming and what happens next. I think communication is key,
Mhm.
especially when we're going through this process. So,
Definitely.
not only will you know what to expect up front, but as it's happening, I'm really your resource 24/7, right? And you will never have a time where you are not sure what's coming next. And we have a great piece of technology that sends you an update every day once we're in escrow of like what's happened on the house. And it's really like a project management software for us,
Mhm.
but you have access to it every day, right? So you're always in the know. What questions do you have about this so far?
I don't think I have any. I feel like you covered everything.
Okay, so we talked about inspections, let's say 2,000, 2,500. You're aware of a deposit, like what that is?
I remember that one.
Okay, so usually it's about 1% of your purchase price. So if you
Yes.
buy at 700,000, we need around $7,000 up front.
Yeah.
How much money do you have saved now?
120,000.
Okay, so 120. That's good. That's really good. So, of that, 1% should go towards your, let's just call it your earnest money deposit.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of people say, well, how do I get that back if I cancel? We
Yeah.
talked about, your inspection contingency and your appraisal contingency.
Mhm.
Those things protect that deposit.
Right.
Make sense?
Yes.
Thankfully, we're not buying a house a year ago because we had to remove all of those. So it's like you offer on a house, it's like you're taking that house.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next part of this process would be, as long as you don't have any questions, right? We make you a commitment and a promise. I basically commit to always be available by phone. I return calls usually within 1 hour, right? Oh, did we lose it? Who just signed in? Who did that? Oh, that sucks. Are you guys there?
Yeah, looks like you're still recording. Looks good.
Oh, really?
Just click
So
on.
it's the REC, red dot. See it?
Oh, maybe that was your other one.
Oh, yeah.
So really, as long as you don't have any other questions, we call it our promise to you. It's like our commitment to you, where we're always going to return calls. We're going to assure you to only show you properties that fit your needs, right?
Mhm.
We're making you these commitments. And when I ask you to sign that commitment, it's really to hold us accountable, me and our team accountable to those commitments, right? In
Right.
return, I ask you to make commitments to me, because we've already talked about, like, it takes a lot of time to help someone buy a home, right? And I don't get paid per hour, right? I only get paid when someone successfully achieves their goal,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So my commitment to you is do these 10 things. Your commitment to me is to, always have a business card with you and share that when you go see a property. I didn't print it out. And then, if there's a property that you want to see, always bring it to my attention. I can schedule it right away,
Okay.
right? And just always include me in things that you need, right? It's very simple,
Yeah, I can
and
do that.
it doesn't mean that that you can't decide to do something different, right? It's really about holding us accountable for you. And if you're not getting the level of service that you thought that we committed to, you can always go back to that commitment sheet and say, hey, I signed this, you signed this, why are you not honoring your commitment to, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
So let's sign that today. And then from there, step 2 would be you're going to talk to the lender.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to work with them, but you're going to talk to them. And then I'm going to give you the app. You're going to download the app, and I'm going to start setting up the searches for you. And within the app, it'll be perfect. Like we can look at, neighborhood 1, neighborhood 2. So it's very organized. The old school way of doing that is let you set you up on a search via email and just let you tell me when you see homes that you like,
Mhm.
right? Like you do all the heavy lifting. Like through the app, I'll always know and be able to see what it is you're looking at, and we'll just favorite homes that we want to go look at and unfavorite them if they're not on the list, and just continue to like create shopping carts, let's say, of homes. Make
Cool.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So what questions would you have? Because we're running 15 over after that consult, right? Close. If she said, no, I'm not ready, or prepared to sign that yet, I would
was
start
gonna
to,
say like, I'm interviewing another agent.
okay, so let's do it again.
Okay.
Go for it. I said,
That's
now what we're gonna do is we're gonna assign my commitment sheet. If I had it printed out, I would go over the 10 commitments with her and say, you have to tell them their commitments to you, right? And say, let's go ahead and get that signed now, right? And then I'll get the ball rolling with the lender, get the ball rolling from there.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I really think I want to move forward, but we're meeting with another agent tomorrow afternoon. So I'd like to wait if that's okay.
100%. And we talked about that on the phone, like you should speak with several other agents, right?
Yeah.
And I totally want you to do that. I'm a big proponent of like, if I'm making these commitments to you and you're making those commitments to me to do signings like in person. So what I can do is you sign that commitment, I'll hang on to it. You do your interview. It's not even like a legally binding document, right? It's really just a commitment letter from me to you. So you sign that commitment, I'll hold on to it, and then I'll follow up with you tomorrow afternoon. And from there, I won't submit your information to the lender until we talk, right? And then once you talk to that agent, you make a decision. If you give me the go ahead, I'll get the ball rolling on my end to get the lender going and the app going. But we can put everything on hold until you're done with that interview.
Yeah, we can do that.
But we can sign this today,
Okay.
right? Simple as that, right? And she said no again. You should start asking more questions. Uncover why they're saying no, right?
Can you go into that? If she said no again, what questions would you ask?
What question would you ask?
What's your hesitation?
Okay,
What concerns you?
yeah. So I think that's a little direct, and they're just going to say, well, I just want to talk to the agent. I doubt that. I would say I doubt that most people here would ask the third time. I don't think that you would respond that way. I think that you would say, it's okay, talk to the agent. I'll call you tomorrow, and then let's talk about it. I don't think you would try a third time, not negative or anything, but I would say like, well, that's kind of weird. I mean, we've talked for like 3 months, right? We finally got to meet. And I do think you should talk to several agents, right? But it concerns me that I must not have answered like some of your concerns or questions properly. So like, what have I gone over today that would cause you not to feel comfortable for me to make those 10 commitments to you and you to make those 5 commitments back?
I mean, what if they have me sign and then the next agent has me sign? So now I have to call all of you guys and say.
I can assure you that no agent is going to have you sign their 10 commitments to you.
Okay.
What they'll ask you to sign is a buyer agency agreement where you are committed to pay them, right?
And that's like a contract.
Right.
Yeah. I
That's
don't
not
wanna
what
do
this
that.
is. This is actually like remember I said we do everything like totally different than the traditional way, right? That document looks very legal and compliant, let's call it.
Mhm.
My document says, here's all the things I'm going to do for you, and here's the little things you're going to do for me,
Yeah.
right? And
Sounds pretty simple.
right. So part of me is just more, it's not forcing you to sign. It's more, I'm like a handshake agreement person. So I want to sign it with you, make sure if you have any questions that I can answer them and address them there. And then from there, it's just working efficiently. Like you call me tomorrow, say, hey, that meeting sucked. You're a great agent. I'm going to work with you, and I can just get the ball rolling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you have to uncover what their objection is usually, and usually it's nothing. And so you have to identify that with them and say, well, you just basically said it's nothing, right? So there's no reason for you not to sign this. Does that make sense? Got it? I'm gonna stop recording. So we